The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And here we are. It's time for Mick Shots from Cowboys training camp in Oxnard, California. Bill Jones, along with the star of this show, Mickey Spagnola. And, yes, you've here on DallasCowboys.com been up to speed on a lot of things, but now we get Mickey's perspective on what he's seen through what is nearly a full week out here in Oxnard. Does it feel like nearly a full week yet?
It's officially a full week today.
At the end of today, it'll be
on
a full
the seventh day they rest.
There you go. I like that. And yeah, it's been interesting. I didn't come out until Friday, and so I feel like. But it's been the busiest 3 days of my year so far.
Right.
I mean, there is, with this schedule that they have here, where they're working out in the morning rather than in the evening, as far as from a TV standpoint on CBS 11, we work until late as well. I have someone who wanted to do a podcast in another part of the country. I said, I got to get my bearings. I got to figure this thing out first because we're going from sunup to past sundown right now.
No, absolutely, and especially – if I get up early and I started doing my morning radio reports on the fan, that's 8:30 here, but 10:30 back home, and then podcasts.
But we're not complaining.
No, and by the way, if you want to find something to complain, it's 67 degrees right now. I put my sweatshirt on because when I walked back to my room, the wind was blowing, and I said, it's a little colder than I thought. And of all things, it says rain starting in 2 minutes.
There were some sprinkles on me as I came from my hotel.
Now, I did this probably 15 years ago, and I did it in a sing-song, like I thought it never rains in Southern California, and my interns looked at me like I was cross-eyed, like, well, what is he talking about, right? And I reminded myself of how old I was.
You're not going to do that.
No, I'm not sing-songing it,
okay.
But I thought it never rained in Southern California.
It just sprinkles a little bit anyway. All right, so what are your impressions, just to get us started here, as the team has the day off today?
Right.
And they'll be back for 3 straight practices, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, put on the pads for the first time on Wednesday.
And I'm glad Bill pointed that out because I think we needed to put a disclaimer out there on everything we say because everybody wants to know, what did you see? How's this guy doing? How's that guy doing? It's no more than a mini camp practice or an OTA practice, helmet, jersey, shorts, minimal contact. So it's really hard to judge, especially the offensive linemen. I think the easiest thing to look at is the skill guys, the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, the cornerbacks, safeties, linebackers, some in pass coverage. But as for, somebody said, well, is Micah Parsons ever going to beat Lael Collins in a pass rush? And it's like, all right. I mean, Tyron Smith. Let's wait till the pads come on before we start judging things. So I think probably the highlight of this first, what did they have, 4 practices now? Is that right?
3 practices.
3 practices.
Thursday, Saturday, Sunday.
Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, right. Well, you know what? Some people can consider the conditioning test the practice because they did a lot of running.
And they do.
And
that was why there's a day off now.
But Dak is moving awfully well, and I thought these last 2 practices he was really good. He was good throwing the ball on the run, being able to move. Like they did one of the scramble drills in team or 7-on-7, and he had no problems moving whatsoever. So I think they're in the clear there with him.
And you were there when Jerry talked with the scribes after we did the car wash with the TV people yesterday.
And Jerry said that was probably the best practice he had seen of Dak since he's been with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And
that's saying a lot.
And I thought both Saturday.
That was Saturday's practice.
That was Saturdays, and I thought Sundays was every bit as good. And what people need to understand, Bill, And by the way, it is raining.
Wow, it is.
Look at that. Not hard, not
No.
like we get in Texas or anything, but it's a nice little fine.
So you're saying 15 years ago you did see rain out here?
I did. I think it was
Cowboys
2000.
camp.
It was 2004 or 2005. One day kind of got delayed because it rained.
I would have been out here then. In fact, now you talk about reminiscing. Those were the good old days. In 2004 or 05, remember when we interviewed Kevin Costner out here?
Yes, on the set.
Yep, and that was the old days of the Cowboys channel, and we were filling a whole lot of time for the Cowboys channel back then, and we did a 15-minute interview with Kevin Costner.
It's like Bill was sitting there, I was sitting here, and Kevin Costner in the middle,
and it was,
right?
of course, with the practice field in the background.
Where we're not in a tent.
We were on
right?
like a TV set then.
Yeah, absolutely. But Dak just, you can throw the football. You never forget how to do that, right? And his mobility is fine. But then it's another thing of getting acclimated to seeing the field, like seeing all. If you've ever played quarterback, and I haven't, right?
Really?
Or maybe in a pickup game when they needed somebody, there's a lot of muck out there, right? And there's a lot going on, and you got to get used to sorting through when the play breaks down. That's why I think the scramble drill that they do is invaluable, because I don't know what the percentage of plays that you call in the huddle actually come off the way you designed them, right? You got to ad lib sometimes, and he was doing that fine. He was throwing the ball fine. He was hitting guys on the run when the play broke down. So I think that probably was the highlight of the first week of training camp, along with just the fact that guys like Tyron Smith, Lale Collins, Zach Martin, Blake Jarwin are back out there with the offense, and as Dak said that one day, it's like the band's all back together again, and it certainly looked that way, and that's what this Cowboy team needs from this offense if they're going to succeed this year.
All right, let's get into some of the news of the last couple of days anyway. Give us a status report on the potential signing of Malik Hooker, who, of course, Mike McCarthy basically confirmed during his press conference yesterday that he is out here, and yet he's going through the COVID protocols.
Yes, and he has not worked out for him yet. And remember, I think it was September 20th. It was September 20th he ruptured his Achilles.
And DeMonte Casey ruptured his Achilles October 4th,
right?
So 2 weeks after
and
that.
And Casey's back out here, but when they brought in Hooker...
Not all Achilles injuries are the same.
Yes, they are not, and especially when your age is a little bit different, too. But I'm glad to say
that's what Mickey is talking about, his own experience.
I'm glad to say I'm running now and actually played tennis a couple of weeks ago. So, but when they brought Hooker in the spring for kind of a workout, my understanding was he wasn't ready physically. And you remember he left and they didn't sign him, and then they had already signed KZ and Keanu O'Neal. So he hasn't worked out for him yet, because when he got here, COVID-19 protocol mandated that he quarantined for 5 days. And my understanding is he's here, he's in his room, but he can't go anywhere. He's sequestered in his room. So I think the 5 days are up tomorrow.
And that would be vaccinated or not
unvaccinated. And so they can work him out. So they have, while they planning on signing him, they still need to work him out and make sure the Achilles is healed and he's physically ready to go. And I would imagine...
But you anticipate, they probably have seen video of him, and they've got a pretty good idea. He's
and I would imagine that they've already kind of worked out the contract.
Yeah.
But it's, what is it, July 26th today?
Yep.
And you don't have a job? Well, your bargaining power ain't real high, right? Especially with other teams getting ready to go to camp and probably have their 90-man roster set. So it'll be interesting to see. And my understanding on why it wasn't any reflection on what they've seen from the safety so far. It's just trying to bring in the best talent that would be available at safety and let them sort it out.
And he's likely to be a pup guy to start anyway.
Yeah. There's a good chance of that, and you would have until you got to set your 53-man roster to either activate them off PUP, or you can leave them on PUP and get a minimum of 6 weeks into the season. And that's why some of the guys they put on PUP early, it's an insurance policy against them being ready.
Well, and that's the other thing is now we've got a 17-game regular season.
Right.
Okay, on a guy coming off an injury like that, keep him on PUP, and he's a guy that even if it's not till mid-season before he is, or the second half of the season before he can contribute, it's going to be a veteran minimum deal,
Yes.
And so that's not much to pay for insurance, and you might hit on something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I have no idea where he is physically. He may be able to go out there right now and be just like Casey running around like crazy right now.
Right.
And that's his nickname, Crazy Casey.
Crazy Casey, right? When I first heard him say it, I thought he said Crazy Cajun. And then I was like, well, no, he's not from New Orleans or Louisiana or anything. And then I looked at where he was from, and he was from Cajun, California, K-A-C-A-J-O-N.
But that's still not it. It's Crazy Casey.
Yeah. And there's Jerry walking by right now. He's going to do the car wash with the radio stations that are here, too. And we'll get into Bill's interview with Jerry here in a moment. But one of the guys that Bill gave you an example of being on PUP is Tristan Hill. Like, he's out there, he's working hard. But they know that they've got a little bit of a logjam at that defensive tackle position, so they're not going to rush him. And if they give him another 6 weeks when the season starts to continue rehabbing his ACL, then they won't have a problem with that, knowing that at some point somebody on the roster is going to get hurt and they're going to open up a spot, and they could bring him back. So they kind of got him in their hip pocket right now.
And I thought the best thing coming out of Mike McCarthy's press conference yesterday was what he said about Neville Gallimore.
Yes, because he's been working with the first team, and they're expecting
And it's one
big
thing
things
for us
from
to sit here and say, oh, yeah, he looks all right out there. But when the coach goes
Yes.
overboard in praise of how much stronger he is, and they've got some high hopes for Gallimore this year.
And by the way, Bill, mentioning Gallimore, you know how the Cowboys do their off-season awards for how hard guys work, their how much they increase some of their stats, the things that they judge. He was one of the guys on defense that got the award. So that gives you an idea of how hard he was working in the offseason. And talking to Harold Nash for a game day story in the preseason, he was talking about Gallimore basically came to him and said, hey, I need to get better at this, this, and this. And he said that's always good when you see a player do that. You can have the physical talents, but you've got to improve strength, your weight, all those things. And he was really high on Neville Gallimore and how complicity was with working hard in the offseason.
You know, he's one of those guys that when you look at his history, of course, he's from Canada, and he's a late bloomer type as far as football goes. And so I'm sure when the Cowboys drafted him in the third round, they were looking at upside with him as much as anything. And so that's exciting to hear that he's got that kind of work ethic and the want to be as good as he can be.
And nothing against Oklahoma on how they played him, but his natural position, I think, is a three technique on a four-man line, and just to use his speed, his quickness there more than being a defensive end in a three-man line,
and which is what they were running. They were running before Alex Grinch got there, and so that would have been. I'm trying to remember if he played for Grinch's last. He wouldn't have, and so he would have been in that. Three-man front, which is like a five technique.
So getting back to Tristan Hill. I watched his workout yesterday. He is moving just fine. And the other guy that was working out with him at the same time was DeMarcus Lawrence. And I know Jerry, when he was asked about Lawrence and Amari Cooper, he said probably after Arizona. Well, for Lawrence, that's a team decision because he could go out there and practice right now. But, this first week, as we talked about, it's a mini camp practice. They don't need Lawrence out there. He better serves himself rehabbing at this point from the.
Same with Cooper.
Yeah, and same with Cooper, exactly. And yesterday I finally saw Cooper out there on the cords with Britt Brown. DeMarcus Lawrence, his workout yesterday, I guarantee you that it was harder than any practice guys went through yesterday, because he was doing all the little rehab stuff and had the cords on, and he's running hard. And Britt Brown is very optimistic about when he'll be ready, sooner than later.
So is that all the PUP people you want to talk about?
Well, let's see. The other guys on PUP, the guys with the hamstring like Golston, we got a C on that one. But the guys that they put on there that they were recovering from injury or whatever, I think they feel like they would be ready to go whenever needed. They just didn't want to push them. Off the top of my head, I was trying to remember the guys that ended up on PUP. Let me see if I got my list here.
And all of them, they're not concerned. They're just easing them in, and trying to be judicious about it.
Yeah, and it's not like, oh no, this guy's not going to be ready. He's not going to be ready to go. But that they feel good about everybody. Like I mentioned, Golston, we'll see. Lawrence, I think they feel really good about. And then Greg Zuerlein had back surgery. It's an ACL. I saw him out there. He was rehabbing on the cords. And usually when you get to the cords, then you're getting a lot closer. We mentioned Cooper had the foot surgery, and Mitch Hyatt, who I thought was probably further off. They've got hopes that he'll be ready to go at some point in training camp, and they haven't given up on him. The poor guy, he was in the off season, and some guys have their rehab is different for an ACL than everybody else's. So I think those are the guys, and then T.J. Vassar. Was on non-football.
From Texas Tech.
Yeah, he was on non-football injury, so we'll see where that one goes.
All right, and they signed a cornerback yesterday too.
They did. Kyron Brown,
yep.
Cornerback. He was signed by the Jets as a rookie free agent in 2019, and he only played in 3 games that year, and then last year he spent the whole year on PUP with a quad injury. So, they had an open spot, and they just wanted to fill it. We've got a lot of activity going on here with a little bit of rain that's coming down.
We're on Radio Row, which is located right next to where Mike McCarthy has his press conferences here on the tennis courts, overlooking the River Ridge playing fields here in Oxnard. And I don't think anyone really anticipated raindrops at all, but there are tarps here.
Yes.
And so they're
mobilizing.
Yes. The other radio stations are putting the tarps up to make sure. And it's not like the rain is coming anywhere near inside the tent.
Good that we're in a tent,
We're
right?
expecting a torrential downpour in a matter of moments, I guess.
And it's a fine rain. That's the way it rains out
there's
here.
Some equipment there that they're
yeah,
covering up.
I know.
They're not covering us up.
No, they wouldn't worry about us, right?
And since Chris Beam is doing that, I don't know if we're in position to take a break. Yes, we are. And then when we come back here on Mick Shots, let's get into the car wash.
Yes.
Jerry Jones and the car wash, which he's doing with the radio crews now, but we did it with the TV guys last night. We'll talk about that when Mick Shots continues.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with United Ag and Turf. Before you can park yourself in front of the game, park yourself in a John Deere and power through your chores. Our Land Run package is a 1025R, 25 horsepower tractor with a loader, rotary cutter, and a box blade for $229 a month. And the price you see is the price you'll pay. No surprises. So don't miss another kickoff.
Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com. Offer ends February 1st, 2021. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now let's get to work.
Hey, Cowboys fans, ready to spice up your next watch party? Bring Yo Quiero guacamole and be the game day hero. Yo Quiero means I want, and we know you want great, fresh-tasting, ready-to-serve guacamole for your home gating and tailgating events. Made with real avocados and the perfect blend of spices, it will be the star of any party. You can find us at your local Albertsons or Tom Thumb in the deli section. If you can't find it, talk to your store manager and tell them, Yo Quiero guacamole.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Back to Mick Shots.
All right, we're back here on Mick Shots. What a day it has already been as the Big 12 is blown up today.
Yes.
Officially. Oklahoma and Texas gave their notice, and my phone is blowing up because of that. And, you know, Mickey, I got here Friday,
yeah.
And on Saturday and Sunday, I'm telling you, it's 14-hour days out here, you know. And with this new schedule with the team practicing in the morning, okay,
right.
And Saturday with the opening ceremonies at 10, so noon Dallas time. You had to be out here an hour early for that because there's a crowd too. I mean, I got out here 8:30 or so. So I went by a 7-Eleven and I grabbed a Bear Claw.
A Bear Claw.
I have never had. Have you ever seen?
I've never even heard of them, I don't think.
I had neither until I picked it up, and I love them.
It looks
good. I've been living off Bear Claws here the last couple of days.
That's your breakfast or
seriously,
lunch?
You cannot. It is we park. Now you're staying on campus.
Yeah, but we got to walk all the way around,
okay,
though.
We park 300 yards away.
Yeah.
Okay, in the parking lot, and with the fans here and everything, there was a full house on Saturday. You could not even think about leaving here and then going
trying
back
to come
in,
back,
like going to get lunch or something like that. And so I lived off 2 Bear Claws that day. I did the same thing yesterday. And anyway,
breakfast of champions.
Yep, that's it right there. And water and Bear Claws is what I'm living on.
So it's raining harder, by the way. Now, good thing they did put up the tarp to protect the equipment that was next to the fence here. Jerry did the car wash yesterday, and my understanding was you guys were supposed to only have 6 minutes.
6 minutes.
And I saw the clock like standing up there like this the whole time. So how did it go with you and Jerry?
Well, we were told in advance we get 6 minutes each. And it was Mike Ducey, Channel 4, went first. Louis Scruggs, Channel 5, went second. Myself, CBS 11, went third. And then Greg Simmons with KSAT in San Antonio was fourth. And then they saved the big kahuna, Dale Hansen, for fifth. I figured there's no way that there's a 6-minute time limit when Dale Hansen's having his last interview with Jerry. Of course, Dale's retiring September 2nd. So Ducey starts.
September 2nd, yeah.
Yeah, September 2nd. All right, Ducey starts. And I'm seeing David Abruzzi give him time cues, and he is ignoring every single time. I guarantee you, Ducey went. He got hung up, and I could just barely hear from a distance. Troy Aikman was out here yesterday,
yeah.
And so we weren't able to get Troy ourselves because the way they're doing the interviews after the practice is each station is set up at a post and they bring a player over. Well, Connor Williams was the last player, and that my CBS 11 photographer Bill Ellis, he was tied up at the far end of the practice field having to get Connor Williams, and then we distribute the interviews so all the stations have all the interviews. So anyway, then Troy's doing an interview here. So Ducey asked Troy about being a GM and, being up in the tower with Jerry and stuff. And so I'm from a distance, I'm hearing him ask all these questions about Troy being a GM, and I can't hear anything Jerry's saying because Jerry is faced the other way. And so I'm going. So that is why Ducey went well beyond 6 minutes on his because he was just
trying. Does he get fined?
He was trying to get that soundbite from Jerry that he can tweet. I talked to Ducey afterwards.
Right.
Yeah, he's trying to get that soundbite that he can tweet out, and it goes viral that, there's a chance that Troy would be the GM of this team, and he never got him to say it.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Obviously.
And not going to happen.
Yeah. So anyway, so I probably went about 9 minutes with him, something like that. And I went past the stop sign also. He's great talking. He just, as you know, he just absolutely loves training camp.
Yes.
And you saw it in his opening press conference, the emotion that he had when he gets sentimental about the past years here and so forth. He actually, with me, talked, it's the same kind of feelings that he had. I mean, that's how much it means to him when his granddaughter got married on the night before on Saturday.
Yeah.
And, it means so much to him. And, and when he gets criticized for the 25 years without a Super Bowl, that's when the emotions, get going both ways on
right.
that,
Yeah.
So it's great talking to him, and I wish that we had we knew in advance we've got 10 minutes with him, because then you don't because as an interviewer, when you know that Jerry goes long with his answers to begin with, okay, and so you have to parse it down to your questions there are certain topics, and so I think all of us are the same. There's 5 or 6 questions that we have, but you don't really know that you have time to follow up with him.
Exactly.
Like,
right.
When he says something about his granddaughter getting married, you would like, and then even more emotion would come out to be able to follow up. But you got 4 more questions you need to ask, So that's one of the.
And it's hard to cut him off too.
Right.
By the way, too.
Right.
Like interrupt or not interrupt, but when it's kind of you go, but you can't.
See,
really.
on live TV, and since these were taped,
right
now on live TV, you would be more prone to cut him off because the clock's running. Okay.
Yeah.
And you got to get it done in 6 minutes.
There's a shot clock
right.
on you on
right.
that
so
one.
So
right?
you were watching.
I watched the interview with Dale.
Okay, I want to hear that.
And Dale had all these props ready to go, and he wanted to bring up Switzer and 94, and as a matter of fact, they were doing Dale's top 20 moments with the Cowboys, or just in his history.
Yeah.
And number 6 was the interview with Barry Switzer in '94 at training camp. We were still in Austin at the college there, and as a matter of fact, I remember it explicitly because I was sitting on the ground underneath their camera. I wanted to monitor what was going to go on, right?
Well, we knew in advance the fireworks were.
And I wore, and Dale remembered it when he did the deal for number 6, that I warned him that Switzer's coming after you,
right.
And he mentioned it.
And the reason that we knew in advance that there would be sparks flying was because Dale was on Norm Hitzke's radio show that morning and made comments about the assistant coaches.
Right, the assistant coaches were going to revolt, that they all wanted the head coaching job, and they weren't cooperating, which I don't know about how far that went. But anyway.
So Switzer obviously
got all excited, and he started punching Dale in the arm like, you got to do this, and you say that. And then Switzer, and Dale never said it, never reported it, but Switzer got on this thing that he heard that Dale reported that Tony Casillas had a brain tumor. And that got Dale mad because he did not do that. And then Switzer just started punching him harder. and finally, Dale goes, hey, that's starting to hurt a little bit, right? And they continued for a while. And they blew by their break, right? And at some point, Larry Lacewell was there kind of next to me. And Larry, it didn't get on the air, but Larry finally said, guys, that's enough. Just like that, right? And so Dale, when they were talking about it, Dale brought out a pillow and put it on his shoulder so Jerry could poke him like that when they were talking about it again.
I was wondering how he's going to work Jerry into this.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. And then he had something that this long scroll of paper, and he started unrolling it and started reading the things that he needed to. Jerry needed to explain, and he got to about the second one, and then Jerry ripped the paper and figured like he had something there, and he goes, well, let me read this about you now, right? and at the end, they were basically, telling each other how much they enjoyed each other's company, and Dale wanted to Jerry to explicitly point out that he quit. He didn't get fired from the radio show, but he was going to get fired by Ron Chapman.
Okay.
And Jerry told that story, and he said, so I helped Chapman out, I got rid of you, and he goes, no, I quit before you got rid of me. And it was pretty funny. So
I worked Hanson into my interview with Jerry too.
Did you really?
I said normal retirement age for a lot of people is 65. I hear there's a sportscaster who's retiring at the age of 73. But you're never retiring, are you? And, of course, he said. and Jerry said that, when you don't work, you're not going to, what's there to retire from when you don't, basically saying when you love what you do, then it doesn't feel like work to you. And so after he said that, I say, well, the sportscaster that were retiring hadn't worked in 25 years.
Yeah. That's a pretty good dig. Right. So so he's in the booth next to us. I think he's with the the ticket next? Yeah, I think so. Yep. He's doing them. What if he thinks this is one of the radio stations and stumbles in?
Dalrymple's
Rich is there, referee, and darn, he might have just thought he was supposed to talk to us. And we got another mic right there.
There you go.
If he walked in.
All right.
But yeah, he does that every training camp, and it's usually at night, and they do it live. But because of all the protocols, they had to do it this way.
Well, I was just pleased that we were able to sit side by side. We were separated by about 6 feet, whatever. But all the other one-on-one interviews that the TV stations are doing out here, we're having to do it over the fence.
Right.
Which is just like all of the interviews are being done over the fence where you're separated by 6 feet or so.
Yeah. And it's kind of working. You just have to remain flexible. And look, we see what's happening right now out there with the variant. Yep. And so precautions.
Well, and Frank Reich, the Indianapolis Colts,
I saw that.
Head coach, tested positive. He's fully vaccinated. And so they're just getting started with their camp. And so he has to have 2 negative tests over a 72-hour period in order to be able to be back with the team.
Now, how do you think he contracted COVID-19 if he's vaccinated? Somebody that's not vaccinated passed it on to him.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
Don't get me started.
And that's why all of us in the media have to be fully vaccinated before we can get entrance here.
Well, I saw that the NFL came out, and it was maybe a month ago. It basically said if the media member wasn't vaccinated, they weren't allowing to the press box to cover the game.
Well, and I saw a report yesterday that they're requiring it, that it hasn't been announced yet. The edict hasn't come down yet, but for network broadcasters, they can't go into the network booth unless they're fully vaccinated.
Yeah.
That's coming down.
I thought it was interesting, and a lot of times when these guys are doing the interviews here, they're being asked if they're vaccinated. Some guys, kind of beat around the bush. They won't say. Michael Gallup was asked it yesterday, and he just came right out and said, yeah, I'm vaccinated. And they were asking him, well, a lot of people are a little worried, what was your incentive to get vaccinated? He said, after games, I like to be able to hang with my family and friends. And he goes, to me, that was incentive enough for me to get vaccinated. And he didn't mention why I wanted to be safe or whatever. It was the protocols out there for unvaccinated players should be, it seems, enough for guys to go, I'm going to get vaccinated, right? Because the guys around here that aren't vaccinated, they got masks on all the time, and they're not supposed to eat in the cafeteria.
Now, I will say this. I understand, and Mike McCarthy's kind of talked about this a little bit. I understand, I don't know if hesitancy is the right word.
No, but it is.
There are, everyone has their own situations. In fact, and I'll just go ahead and say, with me, I had COVID in February, and I was told by my doctor to wait to get vaccinated for 3 months, which took me to June, okay? And then I decided myself, I want to get a physical, okay, because I was due, because I didn't get a physical last year. I wanted to make sure everything's good, you know. And so it was 1st of July before I was able to get vaccinated. And so I got the Johnson & Johnson because it was a one-shot, and
then you'd be ready to go.
Right,
yeah.
And so that's why I went with the J&J, was so I would be fully vaccinated. And I got an antibodies test at the time of my physical, and my antibodies test shows that they didn't explain what the number meant, but it was I have a lot of antibodies. So,
well, good.
Yeah.
So you're doubly protected.
And that's what, and a doctor friend of mine who's actually on a board advising corporations around the country about it, he said he was encouraging me, yes, you need to get vaccinated. Okay, great. I'm all for it, whatever. He told me wait 3 months and then get the J&J, and so there could be players like these players who are who got vaccinated late. You know, they're maybe checking out and making sure that they get the right advice.
And Jerry pointed out that they had a lot of guys in what he called the pipeline,
right?
Where maybe they got the first one, they're waiting for the second one, or maybe they got the second one but were waiting for the 2-week period afterwards.
And Michael Parsons said that he is in that. And I think he's fully vaccinated as of tomorrow.
So my physician friend told me, as old as you are, you better get it as soon as you can.
Yeah, that's right. and I would have back in February or whenever my age came up, you know, and I was able to, but I had it, and fortunately, I didn't have it badly. I felt it for 3 weeks,
right?
And I was able to work from home, you know, and didn't miss a day at work.
And for the people in the traveling party with the Cowboys that were on the charter, we all had to go get tested before we came out here.
Well, and all of the media members had to have a negative test before.
Yeah. And you know what? The results didn't say negative. It said not detected. I wanted to hear something more affirmative, right? Not detected. That kind of leaves wiggle room for, well, we didn't find anything, but maybe, you know. So anyway, that's our COVID-19 talk for today.
That's enough COVID talk, and we've got much more to talk about with this Cowboys team when Mick Shots continues in just a moment.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
Hey, Cowboys fans, ready to spice up your next watch party? Bring Yo Quiero guacamole and be the game day hero. Yo Quiero means I want, and we know you want great, fresh-tasting, ready-to-serve guacamole for your home gating and tailgating events. Made with real avocados and the perfect blend of spices, it will be the star of any party. You can find us at your local Albertsons or Tom Thumb in the deli section. If you can't find it, talk to your store manager and tell them, Yo Quiero guacamole.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with United Ag and Turf. When there's work to be done, a real workhorse can make all the difference. Like the Range Boss package. Our 5075E John Deere 75 horsepower tractor features a bell spear and loader and starts at $369 per month. And the price you see is the price you'll pay. No surprises. It works like a horse, so you don't have to.
Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com. Offer ends February 1st, 2021. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now, let's get to work.
Back to Mick Shots.
Welcome back to Mick Shots. Bill Jones with Mickey Spagnola, our final segment. We're going to take it another 19 minutes or so here. And by the way, we told the story about, I think it was 2005, when Kevin Costner was a visitor to Cowboys training camp, and we had him on one of our TV shows on DallasCowboys.com, back on the old Cowboys channel before the NFL Network started. And Jake Benoit, who is an avid listener to all the podcasts here on DallasCowboys.com, he found the video on YouTube of our interview with
amazing.
Kevin Costner, and he tweeted it at us. He is Jake is at Run Emmett Run on Twitter, and he's got some still shots of us interviewing Kevin Costner from 16 years ago.
So, and we got another tweet out, and the guy tweeted, it's better weather here in Scotland. Want to trade places? That's a good one.
No, we're good.
We're good. We're good here.
Where we are. All right, other impressions from the early days of camp. Let's start. How about Connor Williams, who's been getting some work at center? You know, when he came out of Texas, of course, he played left tackle at Texas, and because of the short arms, was moving inside in the NFL. But there are a lot of people, there are at least some draft people, experts, quote unquote, who thought that his best position in the NFL might eventually be center.
Yeah. And he said there was only, when he got worked out before the draft, there was only a couple teams that suggested that maybe he was a guard center. He said most of his workouts before the draft were tackle guard. Mm-hmm. But it always kind of came up. And, you know, the last couple years they kind of dabbled with it, but not really, hardly in the offseason. Well, this year now, this is the first time I've actually seen him take like snaps in practice, and yesterday was a little more extensive because he was taking the second team snaps at center. The day before, he skied a shotgun snap over the quarterback's head.
Well, that didn't keep Andre Gerard from playing center.
That's right, by golly, because they had been using Matt Forniak. The Nebraska guy they drafted, I think it was in the 6th round. He had played guard. He had played all the things, but he played a little bit of center there. So they decided instead of him working at guard, they would work him at center. But Connor said basically, you just make himself more useful. And so what they're looking for, and it's one of the spots on this team that has to get decided. Who's the backup center? They're fine with Tyler Biadasz as the starting center, and to me, and I've said this repeatedly, had he not gotten hurt last year, that center job would have been his the rest of the way after he took over for Joe Looney, who sprained a knee. So they need a backup. And, the only other guy that they had been working as a backup center was, where's the guy's name? It was Jones, Braylon Jones, a free agent. And he at least played center last year, right? Because other than Biadasz on the roster right now, no one played center in the NFL last year on the roster. So, again, we'll see where this goes. But he seems willing. They seem serious about it. But at some point, if they don't think that works out and Farniak's not ready, they're going to have to find somebody.
So it appears that they view Connor Williams as a better backup center, even though he's starting at guard right now, than Connor McGovern would be as.
Yes, that's the way it looks. Yeah. And now here's the other thing with Connor McGovern. To me, if Ty Nsekhe or Terrence Steele or Josh Ball don't show that they're good enough to be the swing tackle, the backup swing tackle that the Cowboys have struggled with for how many years, you think, 4 or 5?
At least.
If something happens to one of those starters, Zach Martin goes out to tackle, Connor McGovern goes to guard. And I think that's got to be in their mind, because I think if that's the case, Connor McGovern can play guard better than the backup can play tackle. And I think you have to make that move with Martin, and you don't mess around like they did last year.
But because we hated to see what happened last year with the offensive line, but because of what happened with the offensive line, their depth is better on the offensive line now than it has been in a while.
Right.
Because
and I think,
those guys got those snaps last year.
And by the way, Terrence Steele was another guy that won one of the off-season workout awards. And they're giving him a chance on that backup job also. Brandon Knight, who started the other games mostly at left tackle, he's been working at guard. So they're hoping the struggles Steele with last year benefited him to the point where he's that much better. See, you can't have a first-round pick at every spot on the offensive line, and especially the backup. You got to have some developmental guys. And if Steele can do better than he did last year, then it'll be interesting. And that's what we haven't seen until the pads come on. And that's that, Bill, that first preseason game, the Hall of Fame game, I think we're going to see a whole lot of these young guys playing because they've got the extra preseason game.
Oh, sure.
And those games are going to be important to guys like Steele and Josh Ball. And who knows, maybe they tell Connor Williams, even though you're the starter, we're going to give you some snaps at center.
Mm-hmm. But to bury the lead, we just buried the lead on the offensive line, and the lead on the offensive line is that Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins look good.
Look really good. As a matter of fact, I think there was maybe the day before Randy Gregory got a pass rush on Tyron yesterday. He didn't get past the line of scrimmage. Tyron, I think, got serious and locked him up. But I'll tell you what about Tyron that I saw. After Saturday's practice, he and Micah Parsons stayed out afterwards, and he was giving them tips on rushing the quarterback.
Good.
And showing him the things that he's picked up and how he's stopped other guys.
Right.
And one of the things he was showing them was Micah was trying to use this spin move to go inside, and he was spinning before there was contact. And he was basically explaining to him, don't spin before you make contact, because the tackle's just sitting there waiting for you to come to him, right? You got to hit him and then spin. And then he was showing him how to use his hands to get the hands off so he can complete his spin.
Okay, so now let's talk about Micah Parsons. I love him. And
I told you.
I love him as a player. I also love him as a guy to talk to. I think he's going to be the best interview on the team.
How about you love him as a chess player? Because there were 20 Hard Knocks people showing or taping Micah Parsons and Ben DiNucci playing chess. Mm. It was the whole crew. Well, they probably didn't have anything else to do, right? So everybody was there. But Parsons, so far, remember what I told you? Somebody asked us, well, where's he going to play? And I said, on the field. They'll find a spot for him.
Okay, so that's my question for you. All right, DeMarcus Lawrence is, all right, knock on wood, he's going to be ready to go.
Right.
Okay. What is the inventory of edge rushers that are going to be contributing during this regular season for this team? Okay, we start with DeMarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory.
Correct.
And Micah Parsons is right in that mix.
Well, Terrell Basham is playing one of the defensive ends. So here's what they're doing with him, Bill. And how about this? They've got some formations that they've got 3 linebackers on the field at the same time that we didn't see last year, right?
Right.
So when the 3 guys are out there, Jalen Smith's in the middle, Leighton Vander Esch is on the weak side, Micah Parsons on the strong side. And when he's on the strong side, he's lining up on the line of scrimmage, like head up with the tight end. So depending what the formation is, he's either running with the tight end or they're blitzing the strong side linebacker off the edge.
And he can get there quick.
And he's awfully good. So they're going to have to not just assume that he's covering the tight end, and no matter how many wide receivers are on the field.
So, in other words, instead of the offense dictating what the defense can do to try to defend them, I think Dan Quinn's putting a defense together, because he talks about this defense is not the defense that they ran in Atlanta.
Right.
Okay. He's taken this personnel, and he will be able to dictate defensively what's going to happen on the
He's going to match up. Yeah. Like, I've got the personnel, and that's what he said. Somebody asked him, how are you going to get all these guys on the field? He goes, well, we're going to have different matchups. So that's one of them. Now, at this point, since it's young, early in camp, when they go to second-team nickel, then Micah Parsons, the middle linebacker. And somebody said, well, yeah, he rushed from the defensive tackle spot. Well, he was the middle linebacker in the gap, like they've used Jalen Smith before, right? And he rushed up the middle. But the other day, I don't know if you were here yet or not, they were doing that scramble drill. And he was one of he might have been lined up in the slot as the strong side guy. I don't remember where he started. But they scrambled, and CeeDee Lamb was kind of dilly-dallying at the line of scrimmage, and then he takes off, right? And he goes deep, and he was almost to the end zone. And right behind him, step for step, was Micah Parsons. And I'm going, are you kidding me? There's number one against number one, and they were running step by step together. It was a thing to see. So they've used him on the nickel in the middle. And then at times, when they do the individual drills, instead of Micah working with the linebackers covering tight ends or running backs, he's over there with the defensive linemen working on his pass rush drills. So he's as versatile as anybody I've seen, and he kind of knows what he's doing too, by the way.
Right. And that's where I'm so impressed with him. Even you can see it in his interviews, why I say that he's eventually going to be the best interview on the team. He gives thoughtful answers. He listens to your questions, and he's very real in his in the way he responds to questions and stuff.
Yeah. So they're going to figure out how to get him on the field.
You know, it's interesting, with the exception of Dak. You know, Dak is Dak. Okay, but the rest of the team, I think my two favorite players on this team are, as far as what their potential is, are Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's a reason they were first-round draft picks.
Right, and you know, and CD should have been higher. People are going to find that out, right?
Those two players give me more excitement about this team than anybody else. And part of that is how young they are, you know, and the future's all in front of them.
And I don't mean this disparagingly. Well, maybe I do. The people that are like, when they drafted Parsons at number 12, well, you can't take a linebacker that high. You needed this, or that. And it's like, you didn't just take a linebacker. Mm-hmm. You took one of those guys that comes along not very often, maker. Right? Yeah. And I remember one day, it might have been us, I said something when somebody said, no, it wouldn't, because you guys wouldn't have said that. They said, take a linebacker? I said, he's not a linebacker. They go, but you can get a linebacker later. I said, what if he's Lawrence Taylor? Just like that. And they go, oh, you're going to go that far? And I go, okay, I get it, but what if he is? I'm not saying that instantly, but, boy, he's got some talent now, and it showed out here. CeeDee Lamb in his second year, and let's remember, CeeDee didn't have an offseason last year, and he didn't have a preseason, and look what he did. Now he's got all this under his belt, a second year doing the off-season workouts. Better watch out for him. And they're moving him around, too.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's like, let's take the Honey Badger. Tyrann Mathieu. What position does he play?
We don't know.
Yeah, right. I mean, you'll list him on the depth chart maybe as a safety, but he's all over the field and making plays.
It's almost like Palomalu. I remember talking to Bill Parcells about him. And Parcells goes, yeah, you know, I don't know where he plays. He says, I don't know that he knows where he plays. He's just out there making plays. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what you're going to see with this guy.
Right. Okay, so in our last 5 minutes, what are you looking forward to this week, and especially as they put on the pads on Wednesday?
Yeah, now when they put the pads on, I get a better idea of what's going on the offensive line and defensive line. A much better idea when those guys can use their pads. And then the other thing is, wide receivers are really brave going over the middle when they know they're not getting hit, right? Well, okay, let's see if you continue that, and will you hang on to the ball? Those are the things that, to me, always stand out. Now, from a physical standpoint, I got no problem with the 3 offensive linemen that are back with Tyron Smith, Lael Collins, and Zach Martin. Those guys physically are ready to go. Blake Jarwin physically, he's running well. He's ready to go. And a guy that really showed up, maybe it was yesterday, day before, Dalton Schultz.
Yesterday.
We saw what he did the year, 63 catches. There are not many tight ends not named Witten in Cowboy history that have had 63 catches in a season. But
a lot of that was dump off stuff,
right?
But what we were seeing yesterday was some downfield stuff.
Right, exactly, and making nice catches too. Mm-hmm. So be interesting to see if the younger wide receivers. I think Noah Brown, Cedric Wilson, so far have had really nice camps. Johnny Dixon is interesting, and then yesterday it was Malik Turner. I don't know much about Malik Turner, but he had a nice day too, number 17. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if that stuff continues.
Don't forget about the draft pick, Simi Fehoko.
Yes, and he's had a couple really nice catches too. So here's the part I think I'm looking forward to the most, because I think defensively there's going to be a lot of competitions, not only for a starting job, just to make the team. And I think when the pads come on, then we're going to see the competition increase, and that's the best part of training camp. And I know Mike McCarthy keeps talking about the competition, and I think when the pads come on, that we're going to see that.
And it's mainly, we can sit here, assuming and hopefully there are no injuries. We could pretty much tell you who's going to make the team on the offensive side of the ball.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, but defense, it's all up in the air.
I think the only sure things, DeMarcus Lawrence starts at left defensive end. Randy Gregory starts at the right. Trayvon Diggs, probably one of your starting corners. The other starting corner right now is Anthony Brown, but he better not have 2 bad days in a row.
Also before Kelvin Joseph.
Yeah, and he's starting to show up just a little bit. And they've actually moved him in the slot a little bit, but mostly outside. Jordan Lewis has been in the slot. Maurice Kennedy's been in the slot. We'll see how that works out. The safety position, let's go. If they're looking at Malik Hooker, then they're saying, okay, kind of like the other guys, but let's see what this guy can do. Donovan Wilson, maybe, because he started last year, 10 games. But I think defensively it's going to be competition. Offensively, the main competition would be for the backup swing tackle, backup center, and then backup quarterback.
Oh, yeah. We can't tell you who the backup quarterback is.
I can't.
No.
And then Cooper Rush didn't do himself any favor. He had back spasms on Saturday. He didn't practice, yesterday. And then he missed practice again yesterday. I'm told it's not that serious, that he should be back soon, so we'll see if he's soon back tomorrow.
He's the backup quarterback on this roster right now.
But Ben DiNucci's been getting a lot of snaps with the second team, kind of sharing them with Garrett Gilbert. And when I asked McCarthy the question about the competition at backup quarterback, the only one he ended up talking about was Ben DiNucci. So he talked about how he got stronger.
If Ben DiNucci is your backup quarterback, how many quarterbacks are going to be on this roster?
Well, there'll be 3, and they will keep their eyes open on the free agent wire for an experienced quarterback to come free. Because the quarterbacks on the roster now, not named Dak Prescott, have a combined 2 NFL starts. And that scares me, because that backup quarterback needs experience to be able to play that position.
And they know that. And they're just.
And so you never know. With all those new quarterbacks that got drafted, somebody that's got
There's
some
gonna be
experience
veterans
is
that are
going
gonna
to
be
get
available.
released.
That's right.
So keep an eye on. They'll keep an eye on it, and you keep an eye on it too. Not you.
Okay.
Them folks.
All right. Are we done?
I think.
We
kind of
we
used up
filled an
our hour,
Yeah,
right? How
that's
about
right.
that?
That was fun. All right.
So maybe the next time they've got a day off that there's an opening,
which would be Friday.
Friday we'll have
see.
another
Okay.
Mick Shots. Okay?
All right.
As long as you're still here.
I'm still here Friday.
All
I'm
right.
here till next Monday.
Sounds good.
So, all right. That does it for Mick Shots, and we will see you again next time.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.